Okay, I just sent you the
PDF. We have a PDF for you. Hasn't arrived yet. But sometimes Facebook is weird on my computer. Sometimes it doesn't show me things when it should. Okay, now I think. It's just slow today. But anyway, yes.
Oh, it's not, the camera's not on.
Oh, camera is not on. Sometimes it does that. That's so weird. Okay, it was on earlier.
Yeah.
Funny, yeah, komisch, exactly.
Welcome, everyone. Hello.
Welcome.
Hello. So welcome. Are we streaming to Facebook or to YouTube?
Yes, this time around.
Good.
Okay.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome. So we're going to talk about, straightness starts with the small things. So it's not about big sweeping changes. It starts with incremental changes.
Yeah, so here I just posted the link to the
There's
PDF.
a PDF you can get, yeah. That goes with today.
Okay.
Free, just sign up.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you get on our newsletter. So I can send you the links for the replays and things like that.
Yeah, so straightening the horse really begins with an evaluation. You first have to notice things basically before you can take action, right? You have to know what the horse is doing. You have to know the horse's patterns, and you can choose really any arena pattern, any line of travel to do that. You can choose something simple, then it's easier to notice what the horse is doing. If you do very complicated things, it might be a little harder to see what the horse is doing exactly. So we chose a relatively simple exercise.
Do you want to talk about the approach of, of not also riding the horse through the exercise and not talk about this a little bit, riding with the in terms of straightness, and then we'll get to the exercise in just a bit.
Sure. Yeah, we
talk around this.
Yeah, we use exercises for a variety of purposes. I mean, one purpose is to get information. Every exercise has a diagnostic quality, and it tells you basically what's easy for the horse, what's hard for the horse. It will show you if the horse stays on track or leaves. Our camera is a little funky. So here, if the horse tends to keep his feet on the line, or if he tends to veer away from the line. Jack, this is Walt, you spin.
You spin me right round, baby, right round.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah. So when you ride an exercise the first time, you just observe what the horse is doing. Basically, you don't try to create any great miracles. You just want to see how does the horse do with that exercise.
What does it immediately reveal? It's
exactly.
The importance of observation, of observing. What do you find through it?
Does the horse tend to drift away from the line with the shoulder, to the right, to the left? Does he drift away from the line with the haunches, left or right? Does he drift away with the whole body, out? And then you can observe all kinds of other things. Does he keep his tempo? Does he speed up? Does he slow down? Does he stay round? Does he invert? Does he brace somewhere? Do you feel that a certain body part is very hard to move? Or is everything soft and supple? Usually, you find something with every horse. You find something that needs to be improved or could be improved, regardless of what level they are. So that's the one purpose of an exercise, to diagnose, basically, to find out more information about the horse. And then there is a therapeutic side to every exercise, which means the exercise will teach the horse something, or it will address a certain body part. Like, we chose figure eights for today, and figure eights are all about turning the shoulders and bending the spine. So,
and there's so much information that it reveals in that moment when you're changing the direction and the bend, and everything changes at a moment, and that reveals so much. How the horse does it is what you're looking for.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and then when you know the horse's pattern, because they, if mistakes happen, they tend to happen in the same place every time. Yeah. Same place in the of the exercise, same place in the arena.
Yeah.
And
Horses are creatures of habit,
Yeah,
you know, so
exactly. Just like we.
just like we are, right? Yeah.
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 And yeah, so you can, when you know the pattern, you know the habit, then you can start, you can use the same exercise to improve the situation, same exercise that you use to diagnose. But you can come up with additional exercises too that work on a specific skill set or that work on a specific area of the body, right? So if it's all about turning the shoulder, think of additional exercises that turn the shoulders. Or here in, changing direction, the horse will have to shift the weight and change the bend. So you could do other exercises that teach the horse to shift the weight from one side of the body to the other, or to change the bend.
Yeah.
So you can use more tools than just the one exercise that you start with. Yeah. So let me share the screen.
Yeah, I'll show you the exercise and talk about it a bit.
Exactly.
Now on the PDF, we have a graphic of this exercise and instructions for the what, the why, the how, and diagnostic questions that you can ask yourself as you're writing that can help you to
Exactly.
Help you to assess better the exercise, the results of the exercise. So get the PDF. Yeah. So
conceptually, it's pretty simple, actually. You have a series of figure eights. And I for voltas and figure eights, I like to use half the arena as the diameter because that makes navigation easy, as you can see. So these voltas are like a string of pearls that goes along the long side, and so they're framed by the long side and by the center line. They don't go over the center line, they just touch the center line. And then they intersect the quarter line. The quarter line is basically the diameter of the voltas, you could say. You could start here on the left rein in the corner between A and F. And we ride each volte 1.5 times in this pattern. So if you think of starting your volte there where the green horse is, where between A and the corner, then you would do 1.5 voltes, and then you come out on the connector point between the first and the second volte, right, as you cross the quarter line, and then you do 1.5 volts of that, and then that ends on the half school line, where the half school line and the quarter line intersect. And then so the first volte goes left, second volte goes to the right, third volte goes to the left, and third volte goes to the right again. Fourth.
The second third.
The second third, exactly. The other third. So it goes to the other left.
Yeah. No, it goes to the right.
I know. So anyway, so so you start on the left rein and you end on the right if you have an even number of voltas, right, of figure eights.
Yeah, if you have a longer arena, you can just keep going.
Exactly. Yeah,
if you have 20 by 16,
you have six voltas, exactly.
Yeah.
This is by the way, great warm-up exercise at the walk. It makes the horse really supple. You can then, once the horse is warmed up a little, you can do it in the trot. And the goal is that all of these voltas are the same size. And you may find that in one direction, the horse will try to make the volte bigger, and in the other direction, he may try to make the volte smaller.
In fact, unless your horse is absolutely perfectly symmetrical, and no horse is, your horse will make one volte slightly bigger and one volte slightly smaller, or maybe not so slightly, maybe it'll be obvious.
Check that.
But your job is then to observe. What are you checking? Comments?
Just comments.
Okay.
Ricky says, I can start counting again. Yeah, exactly. Counting helps.
Counting does
we'll
help.
get to that. So by the way, to help with navigation, you can set out cones. Actually, let me get out of that again.
Yeah.
So I would put cone gates.
Don't you have annotation thing? Yeah. Annotate. You can draw on here.
Actually, you can draw. Spotlight. What does the spotlight do? Oh, here. Yeah, here. See, you could nice. So
I was thinking on the center line too. Yeah.
So
Okay.
to help with navigation, right? It helps to put mark certain points, like circle points probably from. Actually, let me do this again.
You can undo it. Yeah, you can undo
there
it.
you go. Okay. Spotlight. Yeah.
Spotlight or
yeah. So
okay.
yeah. So anyway, we can. I don't know.
Yeah, you can't leave a dot there.
Draw. Okay.
Oh, you could draw maybe.
Here, make a dot here. So you could put a cone gate here.
A cone there and
The
another
cone,
cone
yeah.
there.
It
Then the two cones
doesn't leave
we
a
call-
mark. No, I don't know why.
too bad.
Yeah.
Huh.
It's so annoying. Drew earlier. What was the difference?
You drew, but you drew with a different thing. You drew and you drew like just a line. Yeah.
Maybe. Okay. Yeah. Oh yeah. So you could put one cone here on the quarter line, right? And the other cone here on the quarter line. So I would put them about one horse's width apart, about 2 feet, 60 centimeters. That's a good dimension. Then the next cone gate would be here, on the quarter line, left and right of the half school line. And you can see how these voltas meet at on certain lines, like here on the circle point line, 10 meters from the corner, right? So these big black dots, they're circle points.
Yeah,
exactly.
that's really handy.
Half school line is where the second and third volta meet. And then here on the second circle point line, the third and fourth volta meet. So it would put cones on here. You could also put cones on to mark the center line, right? So left and right of the center line, one here, one here.
So you're not going too far or not going far enough.
Exactly. And then, you could put one here, one here. So the blue circles are my cones. And then, of course, one here.
The Ritter cones.
Yeah,
they're back.
And one. So when you put out these cone gates, it makes navigation really easy. You just, like a pilot, you fly from beacon to beacon, right? From navigational point to navigational point. And you will find that sometimes the horses will try to step on one of the cones that's on the inside or on the outside. And another advantage of having cones is that if one falls down because the horse steps on it, you can observe which leg is it. Like if the right front leg knocks the cone over, then the horse was drifting with the shoulder to the right, which means you were either not guarding that right front leg enough with your knee and rein on the right, or the horse ignored you and just wasn't paying attention, right? And if the left hind leg knocks the cone over, then your left lower leg may not have been in the right place, not guarding the left hind, or the horse ignored you,
Or you weren't being precise enough with your aids. But especially if you see it happen several times that the horse knocks over a cone with the right front leg, this is something worth paying attention to.
Exactly. Usually they make the same mistake all the time. So if the horse knocks a cone down with the right front once, chances are he'll do this again. And if the horse knocks the cone down twice or 3 times, it's usually the same leg or the same diagonal, because it could be that he knocks one cone over with the right front, then you pay attention to that right front leg, you don't let it drift away from the line. Next time he knocks a cone over with the left hind leg, because that's sort of the nature of the crookedness, right? If you don't allow him to drift with the shoulder, he might drift with the haunches. And so, horses make it, find ways, so to speak, to maintain their crookedness.
Well, it just shows up. It's not that the horse is being devious. It just reveals itself when you're trying to ride precisely. The imprecision that the horse presents tells you or shows you the horse's crookedness. It's important information. Yeah,
exactly. So what you can also do is count strides.
Yeah.
You count the touchdown of the inside hind leg. Every time the inside hind leg touches down, you count 1, 2, 3, and so on. And you want the same number of strides in each quarter of the volte, or at least each half. You can count quarters, or you can count halves. That is a measure of how round the volte is. Like if you have a different number of strides for each quarter, or different number of strides for the two halves, then the horse will be drifting in or out somewhere.
Well, first of all, you could compare, the volte on the left rein.
That's the next thing. Yeah, I was going to say.
Okay,
yeah, exactly.
I was just reversing the order of it, but yeah, okay.
Exactly. Okay. Yeah. So each quarter needs to have the same number of strides, and the volte to the left and the volte to the right needs to have the same number of strides.
Yes. So, for example, if you're writing a 12-stride volte, then each quarter of the volte should be 3 strides. Yeah. So this helps a lot when you're writing with precise lines or points that you can look at, because you can be at one point. Maybe you can annotate this a little bit, be at one point and you're aiming for the next point, and you want to count the touchdowns of, for example, the inside hind leg. So I would count the inside hind leg touching down 1 stride, 2 stride, 3 stride. By the third, you should be at a quarter of the volte if you're doing a 12-stride volte. Now your volte is maybe 16 strides. So then you're going to count 4 strides, selected how big of a volte you're writing.
Yeah. See, Linda says, love the figure 8s, 10-meter voltes with cone gates. This exercise has done so much for myself and my horse. Challenging, but so worthwhile. Yeah.
Oh gosh, it's one of those indispensable exercises.
And Henry Spears says, with regards to straightness, I don't think I know anymore how to ride without cone gates and circles. April Lewis says, it's going to be my stepping on the cones. Me stepping on the cones. I want to do this with my 11.1 hands pony. He's ready for this. He's a very overreactive pony. Yeah, Ricky says, so helpful, these cones, to get out of that egg shape. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's what we're aiming for. And initially, a lot of horses, start video. Initially, a lot of horses think that the objective is to step on as many cones as possible. They try to knock them down, right? But once you explain to them that the point is to get between them, then the horses will actually aim for the middle between them, and then it gets a lot easier. So the first couple times you ride it, it's hard, and then it gets substantially easier. Yeah.
You kind of have to sit with the exercise for a while and polish it. Let it polish you and the horse too. So you let the exercise do its magic by staying with it for a bit. It will improve just by doing it. The horse will figure out what you want. The horse will actually start to aim for between the cones instead of aiming to hit the cones. Usually there are some horses that like to step on the cones, but oftentimes the horses get it. There are partners in this. They get it, and they'll help too. But you also develop it. It becomes, in a way, it's monotonous in a good way, right? It becomes repetitive in that it's a repeating pattern that comes over again in a gentle, soothing way. So you develop a rhythm by doing an exercise like this. And in fact, speaking of rhythm, you'll find that the horse's rhythm will actually improve by working on an exercise like this.
Yeah. So Maria says, I find the counting of the strides very helpful. Probably need to go and find myself some cones too. You can use other stuff too, milk jugs or whatever, bottles.
Random dogs.
Yeah. And Marie says, is that 3 strides per quarter in a working gait? That depends on the size of the horse. Like the 11.1 hand pony will have more than 3 strides in a quarter of a 10 meter. If you have an 18 hand Warbler, then these might be too small, or it might be a collected trot, for example. So the 3 strides per quarter volte is like the minimum. A volte has at least 12 strides of the inside hind in circumference. That's sort of the old rule of the Spanish riding school. So they found out empirically that when you have 12 strides of the inside hind leg on a complete circle, the horse can still bend along, his spine along that line. If it's less than 12 strides, then you have to do it as a haunches in or shoulder in, but
Then
the
it
horse
becomes
can,
lateral.
can no longer bend
It's no longer
along
single
that
track,
line.
yeah.
Exactly. Or he'll drift, he'll get
Yeah.
crooked and drift.
And so essentially you can do that, but then it becomes a more advanced
Yeah.
exercise.
So these
Mm.
10-meter vault is with your average sized horse
Mhm.
will, have anywhere from 12 to 16 strides in circumference. Like 14 is about average,
Yeah,
probably.
and a pony, it might be 20
Pony is,
or more,
might be more. Yeah,
it
exactly.
depends on the size of the pony.
Yeah. And you'll have more strides in the walk than at the trot, probably.
Yeah.
So. And I wouldn't recommend doing them at the canter yet because it gets more complicated with the change of lead and so on. You can do it, of course.
Great
Right?
exercise.
You can do simple changes. You can do
know,
counter canter
great
voltas,
exercise.
but then it's already a little higher math, so to
Yeah.
speak. It's more advanced stuff.
Great to do, but
Yeah.
maybe you're not going to do. Maybe you won't start with doing it at the canter.
So Janine says, how far apart should the cones be if you sit it? I didn't catch it. I use one horse's width that's about 2 feet, 60 centimeters.
Slightly wider than a horse because you want to. And what I would say is when you're a lesser trained, get a little wild, get trained, you can get more precise. So you can put them a little closer together so you have less wiggle room.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the wider they're apart, the easier it seems to be, but it's less precise.
It's less precise, but maybe you start with that and then gradually as next time you write the exercise, you bring just a little closer together,
Yeah. And Charlotte says, I've always struggled with navigating when the trainer gave me a certain pattern for me to remember in the moment I mess up. Nowadays, I always ask the trainer to put out cones. It definitely helps with navigation. It makes it a lot easier to see the pattern, You just go from point to point. And Joan says, I find if I look at the cone, my horse will step on it. That's an interesting observation. Then look in the middle between them.
Yeah.
Don't look at them. Look. Because you probably steer the horse towards where you're looking. I would think.
It sounds like your horse is very attuned to you. So good to look where you want the horse to go rather than where you don't want the horse to go.
Jackie says, and if or when he falls in on the right volte, stay with the exercise, try to do better the next volte, or halt, yield back out onto the volte line and start again? Question mark. That's a good question. I mean, you could do either one. I've sometimes used mistakes that the horse made as a preparation for another exercise. So if the inside hind leg knocks the cone down, you could stop at the next cone gate and then do a turn on the forehand in motion from your inside leg around that.
Right.
Or if the outside front that it would turn on the haunches, or making that offending leg yield, the leg that committed the mistake, make that move in the opposite direction. If it drifts to the left, make it move to the right, and vice versa. And then you come up with interesting, entertaining, creative exercises. You start with this really simple, basic figure eight, but if you take every mistake that happens as a starting point for another exercise, then it goes in different directions with different horses, and it never gets boring, and the horse learns something, you learn something. So that's a very fun and entertaining way actually to ride.
Yeah, within every mistake is the invitation for the solution.
Yeah, Diana says it's the exercise for checking how straight or crooked the horse is, or does it help to develop? It does both. Yeah,
in the PDF, so go download the PDF. We have a list of questions that you can use to when you're writing this exercise as diagnostic. Now, every single one of our exercises, they're both diagnostic and therapeutic. So they both help you to diagnose the issues, but they also help you to address the issues. And just what you're going to do when you write it is going to differ slightly. When you're using it for diagnostic, you're just observing really what's going on. And then when you're using it as therapeutic, you're going to write it slightly differently, maybe interject corrections like Tom has talked about.
But I wanted to talk a little bit more about technique.
Yeah, let's do it.
Because you have to change direction regularly, and that's usually the hard tricky part. Exactly.
In all figure eights, that's the hard part.
Yeah. So when you get between the cones to change direction, your horse's body has to be parallel to the short side in this setup if you ride it like this.
Yeah, so you don't want to be riding at an angle.
Yeah, if you come across at an angle, the horse will fall onto the new inside shoulder, he will counterbend and he'll lose balance and everything falls apart. Then he'll probably invert, he'll speed up and everything collapses, right? Mm-hmm. The whole training pyramid collapses. So it's all about preparation in a sense. When you get between the cone gates here, you need to be ready for the new circle or vaulted line to the, like here from left to right. You need to be ready to start a vaulted to the right when you're between the cones, which means the horse already has to have a little bend to the right. And you create the bend to the right by first shifting the weight more onto that left hind leg. So the old inside hind, you put more weight on the old inside, and you can use stirrup stepping inside, front, rear, or something like that. And then with your right leg and rein, you can ask the horse to assume the new bend to the right. And then by the time you're between the cones, the horse should be supporting himself with the left hind leg and bend right. And then you start that vaulted to the right. The left hind leg here is the inside one in the left vault. It becomes the outside in the right vault. And the outside hind leg has an anchoring function in turns, whether you're riding a 20-meter circle or a volte or a corner, or whether you're riding a canter pirouette. The outside hind has to be connected to the ground and the weight so that the horse can bend and that he doesn't just fall over, so it doesn't turn like a bicycle. So if you're going from the hollow side to the stiffer side, you may have to connect that outside hind on the next volte again with the ground and the weight, so the horse stays upright and just doesn't lean in. And also one thing to observe is it easier to change direction from one side to the other? Like, is it easier from left to right, or is it easier from right to left? Usually, from the stiffer to the hollow side is easier, from the hollow to the stiffer side is usually harder. But observe what your horse does, observe what the pattern is. And, does he get faster? Does he get slower? Does he invert? Do you feel like the rib cage is supple and can move equally easily to the left and to the right? Like the rib cage has to swing to the outside when the horse is bending. Things like that. Just take note of everything that happens and look for patterns. What does normally happen, in the vault to left, in the vault to right, in the change from left to right, or in the change from right to left. Horses always work in patterns. There's always a pattern there, even if it's not immediately obvious. If you look closely enough, you'll find a pattern of something. If you follow that strategy of first shifting the weight to the inside, old inside, changing the bend, and then beginning the new turn, then you get much, much smoother changes of direction. And that has a more straightening, suppling, bending effect. Then you have to figure out, well, how long does my horse need? How many strides does it take us to shift the weight and change the bend so we're ready to turn the shoulders? And you probably have to allow between 2 and 3 strides for 2 or 3 strides to change, to shift the weight, another 2 or 3 strides to change the bend, depending on how advanced the horse is and how quick you are together, which means you probably have to begin with that preparation. Like here in the first volte, you have to begin no later than the long side, where your volte touches the long side. So that's 5 meters from the corner. That's 1 meter before F, right? You touch the long side 1 meter before F, and only for 1 stride. That's another thing. You are not allowed to spend more than 1 stride on the long side. Otherwise, your volte will look like a flat tire. then it won't be round anymore. Then it'll have a straight line, and then that messes up the geometry. So you may have to start somewhere here between the quarter line of the short, where the quarter line touches the short side and the long side, in order to have enough time, and so it doesn't get stressful, to get everything done, to get ready for your change of direction. And so you do one complete volte, you start the next one, and then so when you're in the second volte on the right, you probably have to start with your preparations for the next change of direction somewhere between these two green horses, like somewhere here, from that little red patch here, it'll probably be one stride to the green horse, and then it'll be another 3-4 strides until you get to the next cone gate, and so on. And you learn by doing, basically. You observe, you estimate how soon you need to start, and then you notice, well, that was too late. I needed more strides to change the bend, or I started too early and I spent the last quarter of the volte in counter bending, which is not a bad thing in itself, but might not be necessary, right? So by watching, and observing the horse, you find out where and when do I need to start, and does the horse need the same amount of time or same number of strides to prepare the change on the left rein and on the right rein, or does he get the job done faster in one direction, and does it take more strides in the opposite direction? Most likely it will, right? So, and are you equally quick in both directions, or do you take more time, more strides in one direction than in the other? Because we're asymmetrical too, a little bit.
Yeah.
Right?
Where do you find the difficulty in changing in your seat? Because of course your pelvis has to change, your weight changes, your legs change, your reins change. Which direction is easier for you? Which change is easier for you? These are great things to observe.
Yeah. Henry is asking if you're adding more strides on a quarter circle due to the horse falling out through the outside shoulder, like hollow rein, would riding shoulder in be a correction in counter shouldering if the horse is falling in on the inside shoulder on the stiff rein?
Well, it depends.
Depends, yeah.
If it's simply that the horse is drifting out on one quarter of the volte, just like the quarter of a circle, I would pay really close attention next time you come around. I don't necessarily ride a correction there of shoulder in or something unless it's so ingrained as a habit that the horse immediately starts taking a different line. Then I might do something like that, or even halt the horse and move the horse over a little bit so I show the horse the line I want the horse on. But usually I just pay more attention, than that, because you observe, you go around on your volte, and you notice something happen. You go around the volte again. If the same thing happens 2 times in a row in the same spot, this is a habit, a pattern. And so then the next time around, you can take preemptive action. You can pay more attention to catching it before it happens. So you catch the horse and you pay closer attention to really observing the line that you want the horse to stay on, so the horse doesn't drift over the outside shoulder. If the horse interjects an additional stride or even a half a stride more in one quarter of the volte, that means the horse is drifting out with the shoulder, definitely.
So if the horse falls in, I would enlarge. I wouldn't do counter shoulder, and I would enlarge. It's usually the most effective thing to do. If the horse drifts out, I would
maybe for those that are new, she's not new, but those that are new, maybe explain what enlarged is, just really briefly.
It's like a leg yield from the inside leg to where the entire horse moves out a little bit, like just, hips and shoulders at the same time.
You're just moving the horse away from the inside aids and back out to the line that you want the horse onto.
If the horse drifts through the outside shoulder, I would think of riding a diamond line, like here, see my blue line. So I would take the bend out of the neck, make the neck completely straight, and then aim for a straight line. And then most likely, the horse wants to drift out, you want to cut in, so you compromise on the vaulted line. Exactly. Find the middle ground that way. Yeah. That's often very, very effective.
That's right? If it's really ingrained. If it's not super ingrained, I would just stay really close, attentive. Stay really close, attentive. Did that make sense?
I know what you mean.
Yeah, you do too. I would just pay close attention to that, stay really attentive to it, and really catch the horse's outside shoulder. The minute it starts to drift a little bit, I catch it with a half halt. And with my outside aids, my outside knee, my outside rein, my outside elbow, my outside leg a little bit too, because the horse will drift over, and bringing a little bit of weight maybe over into my inside stirrup, a little stirrup stepping perhaps, to show the horse, stay on this line, not don't change the line to this line. You can always mess a little bit with full passes and things too. For sure, there are many.
Like if the horse drifts out, you could stop in front of the cones, and then full pass in, walk past the inside cone, full pass out to the line, continue the volte. If the horse falls in, you would stop before the cone, and then maybe full pass out from the inside leg and go past the outside cone, and then full pass in. You could even full pass all the way in, rein back past the inside cone, full pass out to the line. So you make little boxes around these cones. So you can use the cones as locations for all kinds of exercises, turns on the forehand, turns on the haunches, little boxes that consist of rein back, full pass, a few steps, a horse's length forward, or boxes that consist of full pass and turn on the forehand, full pass and turn on the haunches. So, there's no limit to your creativity, basically. But that's already then, more advanced stuff or more complicated stuff.
We get carried away when we just start talking exercises.
Initially, I would just try to write the simple version, and then you can find inspiration by the horse's mistakes to embellish it, right? And
the point of the exercise today is to really use it to observe your horse's crookedness patterns, and of course you can already start to correct it, but go through the list of questions, diagnostic questions on the PDF, because they're really useful. You can use them in other exercises too, not just this one, but they're really useful for helping you to better identify what's going on and to make sense of all of the data that you're getting, so that you know what data to pay more attention to and what it means better. And
Diana says, I would stay longer on the difficult volte than the easy one. Would you recommend that too?
Yeah,
you can. So I said each volte, you ride 1.5 volts each direction, but that's the minimum. You could do 2.5 or 3.5 or 4.5.
I love voltes. So I do that too, actually. If I find my horse is really struggling with getting, the bend isn't as good, the rhythm isn't as good, I'll stay on it longer. And kind of, it's like molding rigid clay. You're working it with the warmth of your hands. You're working on the volte, and then pretty soon the horse molds to the line. And then when the horse is good, then I change to the other one. And if the horse is very crooked, the other one will be very good. I won't have to stay on that volte very long, and I'll come back to the hard volte, and that one I might have to stay on longer and mold the horse again. Eventually, this actually improves. This is the role of the work on straightness.
And Carl Mikolka would often say in lessons that you write a volte. If you're not happy with it, write a second volte in the same place. Try to make this better than the first one. Basically, by observing what went wrong in the first one, try to do better the next time. If you're still not happy with the second one, write a third volte, and then hopefully the third volte is the best, right? But you can always add another one, and
with some horses, it's better to then stop after the 2 or 3 voltes and stop and say, okay, I'm going to do something else here that will improve my volte, that will make it better. That's with some horses. With other horses that get upset sort of by being interrupted and with their mistakes, it's better to just stay on the volte and let the repetitive motion of the foal to kind of relax them onto the line. It's like softening the clay or the dough. You know, they kind of mold to the line. The more you relax into it, if you were to stop them, they would become tense and rigid in their body. I have a horse like this, and it's better for me to usually stay with the line. And if I interrupt, I do it very slight. I interrupt a little bit. I say gently, let's do this. This is a horse with trauma. So, you know, I suggest to him a correction, and then I come back to what I'm writing. So you have to take into account the horse that you're riding and your horse's needs. You know your horse better than anybody else. So you have to be the judge of that.
Right. Yeah, it depends very much on the horse. Yeah, some horses, for some horses, it's good to interrupt and stop. You know, it's like a wake-up call, and then
then they pay attention to you. Some horses they don't pay attention until you do that. They're like, oh, hi, you're up there, okay, you know, and they appreciate it. They don't get offended. But other horses, if they're more sensitive in nature, or they have had bad experiences, like this one horse that I'm referring to, you know, it's better to just. I'm very gentle with my corrections, and I make small corrections in motion usually, rather than like, hello, you know, that doesn't work for him. Whereas another horse, that may be exactly what they love. Actually, it's not that it's mean, it's that that's what they need, and they appreciate that. Yeah.
Sabrina says hi on YouTube. I just checking for comments on YouTube, so we don't ignore anybody.
I know. So you guys, since you just mentioned YouTube, go subscribe to our YouTube channel. I know you guys, most of you are watching on Zoom right now. Go subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're trying to build our YouTube channel.
Yeah, we want to build that up. Definitely.
Please. Just had to say that.
Yeah.
And if you're watching on YouTube right now and you're not subscribed, please hit the bell, or subscribe and hit the bell so you get notifications. Yeah.
So I should also post the link to
post the link again, and for those of you watching on YouTube, I'm going to add it to the description as soon as we're done here.
Janine says, are all these daily sessions on YouTube? Yes, they will be.
Yep,
if I don't forget to link to YouTube.
And in English?
In English I did.
You've been good in English. On the German ones?
No, I forgot one.
Yep. And it is on YouTube. It just takes us 12 more hours then because we have to upload it.
Yeah. So, but anyway, everything we talk about here in these videos, we will really discuss at length in the straightness course. You know,
let me just say,
lots more exercises.
If you like this approach, if this like rings your bell and you're like, this is how I like to ride, or this is how I want to ride, then I would love to invite you to join us in our straightness course. We have a 34-week course that starts next Monday, February 14th, Valentine's Day. Hey. So this course runs for 34 weeks. There are how many modules? 12 modules or something?
Something like that.
10, 12.
It used to be a 12-week course, so it's probably 12 modules.
The courses evolve over time. Anyway, we spend 2 weeks on each module, and then we have break weeks so that you can catch up if you got behind. Every module has course exercises. We also have rider exercises, which are really cool. We have Feldenkrais lessons. If you don't know what Feldenkrais is, come back on, let's see, today is Monday. Today's Monday, right?
Yeah, Monday.
Okay, come back tomorrow. On Tuesday, we'll have Catherine McCrum joining us. We're going to talk about this a little bit, and then we're going to have a Feldenkrais lesson for you available for you. We'll release for you so you can try it if you've never tried it. Those of you that have, you know all about it.
Yeah.
And so
the straightness course really started our involvement with Feldenkrais. Catherine contacted us through the straightness course, and then she offered lessons. We made her
2018. And she made us and we made her. It was just like an inevitable marriage between us because it works. They work together so well. So anyway, we have Feldenkrais lessons for the rider. These are exercises you do at home to improve your body awareness, coordination, balance, proprioception, all of these things, which of course carry over and improve your writing. Oftentimes in huge ways, huge ways, and they're very gentle exercises. So they're not something that will hurt you if you have injuries and or they don't require huge amounts of strength, which is nice. And then we also have curated yoga lessons within the course for those of you that want more. We have lessons that we have chosen that really help complement everything that we're doing in each module. And we have a new addition for this year, rider imagery lessons. So these are where we take an image. You've all seen these, right? Like the riding the horse on a railroad tracks, around a bend, and you think of keeping the horse between the tracks, things like this, these visualizations. We are bringing these into the course this time for the first time this year. So we'll have a visualization for you in regularly through the course. And so I don't know if there's one in each module or not. Because we have to create them.
I know some of them are new.
They haven't been created yet. We're creating them with Catherine McCrum and Charlotte Zetterberg. These are two Feldenkrais instructors that are within our teaching squad. And also Yvonne Luke, who is another dressage instructor based in Germany. And physiotherapist. And physiotherapist, for horses. Yes, for horses. But this brings great awareness for her about
she does the drawings.
The body too. She does her drawings, but she also is an incredible writer and teacher too. And so we are working together on bringing these to you in the Straightness course for the first time this year. That's our new addition for this year's course. And so it's 34 weeks. We take you from the beginning. So the beginning is, if you like this approach with diagnostics, we use simple exercises to help diagnose the horse's crookedness patterns and your crookedness patterns. Then you'll really love the first modules of the course because that's what we really deep dive into that. So you really get to know yourself and your horse and what this means. And we help you to analyze the data because sometimes it can be a little bit confusing. Not every horse is straightforward, like they follow the rules. They're individuals. Not every horse follows the rules. Some of them, in left turns they do this, and right turns they should do that, but they don't. So how do you make sense of disparate data like that? And so we help with that. We help with helping you to nail in on what exactly is the issue, so you don't get confused, because so many people, they get confused. They're like, well, the book says this, but my horse doesn't fit these, so I don't understand. We hear this all the time. And so we help you in the first modules to really diagnose and figure it out. But the beautiful thing is, even though you figure it out, your horse will change. It's never something set in stone. And through the course, your horse will change too. But then we move very gently. It transitions into sort of like, here we said this is diagnostic, and it can also be used therapeutic. The exercises do this very gently in the course, where we just gently move into already starting to address the crookedness of the horse in very gentle ways. So we're not bombarding the horse with corrections. We're bringing the horse up into a state of better body awareness, better balance, better way of moving, so that the horse can more easily correct themselves. Because oftentimes the crookedness is because they don't know any other way to be. They're not trying to be bad. They're not trying to be crooked. They're not like sitting in their stock going, you know what, when she comes to me tomorrow, I'm gonna lean on that right rein even more. I'm gonna push my left hind leg out even more. The horses don't do this. They're really not trying to be bad. They're really just trying to figure out life themselves and figure out how to function and move under us. And so what we want to do is make their job better too, to make it easier for them. So we guide them gently into a path of better body awareness and coordination and movement.
Yeah, let me read some more comments.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Jackie says, I want to say to anyone that is new to the Ritters that you will have all this level of detail, but always explained over and over in different ways to help you understand. If you're feeling overwhelmed right now, don't worry, the course will be supportive. And there are always people willing to answer questions. No question is too stupid ever. That's very true.
Absolutely. Thank you for saying that.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah,
because, in fact, if you have a question, you're like, I'm embarrassed to ask this, please ask it here or also in our courses, because that question, those are the ones that are really important to answer, the ones that you're afraid to ask, because maybe 10 people are out there thinking the same thing and they're afraid to ask it too. So, we treat every question equally. We don't ever shame anyone for their question. We take you back to where you need to be so that you can understand how to go forward from there.
So Maria says, I've come across some Felden horse exercises and find them really good. Yeah. Is there some place where I can find more?
Yes. Well, we have one Felden horse lesson in this course, actually. Okay. There's one Felden horse as a bonus. Okay. I hope I'm right.
Otherwise,
oh my God. But Top Line Makeover is a course where we have a bunch of Felden horse. So this is not an actively running course right now, but it is available to buy in our store. I believe if you can't find it, you can email us at ritterdressage@gmail.com and we can get you the link to it. It's not, like I said, it's not actively running. It will be released again this year. If you want more Felden horse, that's where you're going to find it. Eventually, we'll do a whole Felden horse course, but we've been saying that for a year and a half. It'll happen. It'll happen.
Agneta says, will flexions be addressed as well? I don't think they're in this one.
Not in this course. They're in the Top Line course. Makeover. Actually, Top Line Makeover.
There's a module, I think, called module on flexions.
Yeah.
Then Anne-Marie Spears says, I love the combination of a horse and rider straightness course. As a rider, I feel I need to understand my own asymmetries to correctly influence the horse's straightness.
Exactly.
That's very true.
You can't separate one from the other. You're influencing the horse anytime you're on the horse, or even working in hand or at the long rein, you're influencing the horse because of your asymmetry. It has an effect on the horse. So we have to work with both together. We can't separate them entirely. We have to work with both the horse and the rider as a holistic unit, the horse rider unit. Like I used to study midwifery and we called it the mother baby unit. You know, it's the horse rider unit.
Yeah. So let me see, there was a Q&A question, but it was a little bit unrelated. Linda says, my horse disunites at the canter only on the right side. Ideas why and corrections. Yeah, on the right, and the horse is probably stiff right and hollow left. And then he finds it difficult to flex the right hind leg under the body in the right lead. And then he changes leads. Like, in the inside hind is the more flexing, weight-bearing hind leg. The outside is the more extended and more pushing hind leg. And if the inside hind gets a little tired of all the flexing and weight-bearing, then sometimes they change leads behind. And then the inside hind becomes the outside, which means it's now farther out behind and can stay more extended. And, so then you're in a cross canter.
What's really important to know is horses do this when they feel unbalanced. So they're doing this to save themselves because otherwise they feel like they're going to fall down. So the horse is not being naughty. Okay. The horse is trying to keep themselves upright, which, for a horse, which is a prey animal, to fall down is the worst thing that can happen, or one of the worst things that can happen, because then they're vulnerable. So they're going to become disunited to keep upright, to stay upright. If they feel better balanced that way, we have to understand that this is what the horse needs at that moment. But you can do exercises at the walk and trot, specifically at the trot, that can help develop the horse's straightness and equally develop the horse's balance and suppleness and strength, so that then this carries over and the horse is able to better balance himself in the canter. You'll find that the canter will improve without working on the canter.
Yeah, so the right hind leg has to become longitudinally more flexible, so it can fold more under the body weight, and then he'll stay on track. So and then that correction is done not so much in the canter, but more in the walk or the trot, really, to create more suppleness in the hind legs, and that will carry over into the canter. I mean, in the canter, you could try to keep your outside hip and leg more back and guard the outside hind leg more, so it can be pushed out past your outside leg or around your outside leg. So a hint of a haunches in position can sometimes help. But then again, that also puts more weight on the inside hind. So that can become like a new challenge for the horse, and that he wants to change leads even more potentially. So yeah, but in the walk and the trot, you can develop the suppleness and the strength of the hind legs, and then in the canter, they'll stay on the same lead.
Couple more comments really quick, and then we have to wrap it up. So anybody who's interested in joining the Straightness course for this year, I would love to have you join us. Just sign up for the PDF. Go get that PDF, because when you download the PDF, there's actually a button there. After on the download page, you can download the PDF, and then there's a button and you can go get the information on the course. And sign up for the course. We'd love to have you join us. And all the information is there, because we could go on and on and talk about it for an hour, but nobody wants to listen to us talk about the course for an hour when you can read about it. So we start on Monday.
So tomorrow, Feldenkrais?
Yes, tomorrow we're going to talk with Catherine McCrum about the straightness horse rider conundrum. Which comes first, the rider or the horse?
And Wednesday's a day off?
Wednesday's
Thursday we have.
Thursday we have I don't know. What do we have?
I don't know what the subject is. Oh yeah, it's whether we correct the crookedness directly or indirectly.
Which is a really cool topic. This is going to be fascinating. Catherine's going to be there too, because this is right up the Feldenkrais alley. This is really,
exactly. Which is a little different than the traditional dressage approach in this area, but it's fascinating.
It might rattle your cage a bit and make you feel a little bit like, wait, this isn't what my teacher has taught me. This isn't what I've always done. But consider it, because the more we pursue it, the more it works. It's gentler for the horse, and it actually really does work, which is crazy. So come join us on Thursday, and then on Friday, Saturday, we talk about, what is it?
I don't know what the topic is. Saturday is so far away from me.
I'm so awful. I'm so.
It's like next
my
year.
phone is at 1%. Oh my gosh. Let me see. This is so funny. I don't even know what's on the last one. Oh, that it's a process. That straightness is a process, a state of mind, and a habit that you can cultivate. So it's not about something that you just throw on or you just do. It's something that you incorporate into everything you do, and we'll show you how you can do that.
Yeah, it's really a practice and a habit. Definitely. It's not a switch you flip, on off, but it would be nice.
Spoiler. But we'll get to that on Saturday. And then Monday, the 14th, we begin the new course. We'd love to have you join us.
That'll be fun.
So go download the PDF, and we'll see you guys.
We'll see you maybe tomorrow.
There will be a Feldenkrais lesson too, as a bonus to tomorrow. Not live. It's pre-recorded that you'll get access to, but when you come live, we'll give you the link. So
you're good.
Show up. See you then. Bye, everyone.